Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about something a little different. Instead of telling you what gear to buy, I'm going to save you some money and tell you what not to buy. Look, I get it. When you're starting out, or even when you've been shooting for a while, there's this constant temptation to buy more and more gear. The photography industry for sure loves to tell us we need the latest and the greatest of everything. But here's the truth. Some of that gear is just going to sit in your bag unused while you could have spent that money on something that actually improves your photography. So let's dive into 6 items that I think most hobbyists and amateurs and even professionals could skip, at least for now. Number 1, expensive specialty filters. Now, don't get me wrong, a good UV filter and a circular polarizer, they are absolutely worth having. But those $200 graduated ND filters, or the fancy star filters, the weird color effect filters, here's the thing, almost everything these filters do can be replicated in post-processing and probably better. Plus, as a hobbyist, how often are you really going to be shooting these perfect sunrise landscapes where a graduated ND filter makes sense? Usually, again, we could get around it. Save your money, learn Lightroom or whatever editing software you use. You'll get more flexibility and better results. The only time I'd say buy a specialty filter is if you're specifically getting into landscape photography and you know you'll use them regularly. Item number 2, battery grips. Well, they make your camera look really professional. I even had one in my earlier years of event photography, but what they actually do is they make your camera heavier and more expensive. Yes, they give you longer battery life and sometimes better ergonomics for vertical shots, but let's be honest, are you really shooting all day events where you need that extra battery life? Are you constantly shooting portraits in vertical orientation? Probably not. And you know what's cheaper and more practical? And I do it as a full-time professional in events and portrait photography. Buy a few extra batteries. They'll fit in your pocket and they're a fraction of the cost and they won't weigh your camera bag down. The only exception is if you specifically have larger hands and your camera genuinely feels too small to hold comfortably. But for most people, battery grips are just expensive camera jewelry. And even for myself, as I said, I did use battery grips and I found that it really wasn't worth the extra weight. Number 3, a cheap tripod. Now, this might sound counterintuitive or backwards from what I'm trying to tell you. I'm telling you not to buy something cheap. Here's the deal with the tripods. There are only 2 kinds worth buying, a really good one or no tripod at all. Those $30 tripods from Amazon or AliExpress, they're going to wobble in the slightest breeze. The legs will start slipping after a few months, and honestly, they might not even hold your camera securely. I've seen cameras fall off cheap tripods, and my camera almost fell over once. If you're going to buy a tripod, save up and buy a good one that'll last for years. Carbon fiber if you can afford it, or quality aluminum tripod if you can't. But don't waste money on something that will frustrate you and could potentially damage your gear. Until you can afford a decent tripod, use what's around you, walls, tables to stabilize yourself, rocks, or even set your camera on a camera bag. Item number 4, a macro extension tube. These tubes seem to be like a cheap way to get into macro photography, and technically they work, but here's what no one really tells you. They make your lens really hard to use. You lose the autofocus speed, you lose a lot of light, and the focusing distance becomes so short that you're practically touching your subject with your lens. Plus, the image quality usually takes a hit. If you want to try macro photography, rent or borrow a proper macro lens first. See if you actually enjoy it. If you do, then invest in the right tool for the job. Number 5, camera cleaning kits. Those camera cleaning kits, the elaborate photos they send you of all the different equipment, you know, the ones they come with like 17 different brushes and 3 types of solution and a bunch of tools. We don't even know what they are. Most of this stuff is either unnecessary or potentially harmful to your camera. Here's all you really need: a rocket blower, some lens wipes, and maybe a soft brush. That's it. Everything else in those kits is just marketing fluff They're trying to make cleaning your camera seem more complicated than it is. Flash diffusers are number 6. These diffusers and modifiers for your camera's built-in flash are like these little plastic things that clip onto your pop-up flash if you do have a pop-up flash on your camera, or there are tiny soft boxes that attach. Here is the truth. Your camera's built-in flash is basically terrible, and no amount of plastic accessories is going to make it good. These modifiers might make the light slightly less harsh, but you're still dealing with a tiny, weak light source in the worst possible position, right on top of the camera. If you want better flash photography, save up for an external speed light that you could attach to your camera but bounce off the walls or the ceiling. That'll make 1,000 times of a difference than any clip diffuser ever will, and the images will come out better. So there you have it. Those are 6 pieces of gear that I think most photographers, but especially hobbyists and amateurs, should skip, at least starting out. Now, I'm not saying this gear is universally bad. Some of it might make sense for specific situations or specific types of photography. But for most people watching this video, your money's better spent elsewhere, on better lenses, on education, on actually going out and shooting more. Remember, the best camera is the one you have with you, and the best gear is the gear that you actually use. Don't let gear acquisition syndrome distract you from the real goal, which is taking better photos. Well, what do you think? Did I miss anything? Is there any gear that you regret buying? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if this was helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more photography tips and more things about photography and videography. So until next time, keep shooting.